buzz breaks the silence. I start to rouse, pulled into consciousness against my own will. I've never felt this tired before. I just want to sleep, but the insistent buzzing, poking and prodding isn't letting me. My old mattress may not be the comfiest of places, but that doesn't make me any more eager to wake up.
5 more minutes, Becca.
I swat away at what is nudging persistently at my side. Can't I just get a few extra minutes of sleep today? I promise I'll work hard once I'm up. A hand lightly taps my cheek and something cold is suddenly pressed at the back of my head. The icy sensation slowly spreads through the air, giving me an uncomfortable feeling.
Isabella? Isabella? Stop. Can you hear me? Isabella?
The fog immediately lifts from my mind. The moment I recognize the voice and my eyes snap open. There, looking down at me, is Rose. Another woman loiters behind her, but my attention is too focused on my co-agent to even ask why there's someone else with her. Rose's posture just screams worry, although she keeps a straight face, or trying at least. I can't help but feel bad for making her fret. A wave of dizziness washes over me as soon as I try to get up, forcing me to lie back down again. Luckily, the feeling subsides after a few seconds, until only a mild throbbing somewhere at the back of my head remains. With a little assistance from Rose, I push myself upright. She hands me an ice pack and gestures for me to press it where I suspect a small bump has already formed, if the light ache in the area indicates
All right,
anything.
Isabella, where are we?
The Ermengarde mansion. Why? Ow, my head.
And the date today?
October 21st? Rose.
Last one. Can you count to 15 in reverse order?
15, 14, 13, 12-teen. No, that's wrong. Why are we doing this?
She's just checking if your injury is in any way serious.
This time, I curiously regard the woman standing beside Rose. It's impossible to overlook her, what with the way she towers over us. And here I thought Rose is already tall. Who is she anyway? One of the remaining cleaning crews? With how primly dressed she is. I don't think anyone would want to clean in a suit, an expensive suit at that. The gloves alone must have already cost a fortune. Her eyes slowly shift between me and Rose, considering us with an almost unreadable expression, before finally fixing a sharp gaze on me. I can't help but fold my arms protectively over myself as she does. She may be far from a cleaning crew, but she certainly looks like our supervisor during an evaluation. I can't speak. Okay. She may be far from a cleaning crew, but she certainly looks like our supervisor during evaluation. Excuse me, what is it? Thank you, okay.
Just do it, please.
I eyed them both warily, but recite everything as she asked. Rose releases a breath of relief once and
You scared me for a moment there. I was about to call for an ambulance. Are you all right?
exasperation soon replaces the dull ache. The memory's a little fuzzy, but the attic and...
There was someone, Rose. In the attic.
Someone? You mean a client? Oh, that's unlikely. It's probably just one of the cleaning crews. The boss sent a few of them back this morning for some last minute...
No, not any of those. They're, I'm not actually sure. Wait, didn't I call you? You said you were in the attic when you answered. That's why I went there in the first place.
Both Rose and Lily look at me like I've just grown another head. Did I say something weird? Rose quickly casts an apologetic smile at the woman before the awkward silence stretches any further. It's her saleswoman smile, the same one she taught me back when I was still her trainee. I should show this to troublesome clients, or just to avoid trouble in general, she advised. It's also the same one she gives me when I've done something particularly absurd that may cause us to lose a potential sale. Her eyes are serious when she turns back to me. Takes both my shoulders, gently squeezes it, and with as much patience as she can muster...
As much as I'd love to have gotten at least a heads up of your arrival, I didn't really get a call from you. You know, signal here is absolutely horrendous. I was in the garden earlier and couldn't even make a single call. Isabella, I'm going to ask again. Are you really all right? What happened?
I don't know. It's all a bit blurry. I remember I was looking for you, but you weren't in the attic. And there's... whoever it is. Then I must have tripped on a rug or something on the way down. Oh no. Do you think someone came in while you were out? You left the main door open. We are so going to get into big trouble if something gets stolen, Rose.
Perhaps it is a concussion.
Are you sure you feel fine? We could still call for an ambulance. I could cover for you.
No, I'm fine. I'm okay, Rose. I can work.
Wait. Hold your horses, Rose. I can't just miss an important sale because of a minor bump in the head. An extremely minor bump. I've had worse when I was a kid. This is no...
Besides, if I leave, you'll have to shoulder everything in the open house. Alone. And in a mansion this big?
Well, there's also the part where I may lose that bonus BRC promised, but that's completely besides the point. Rose gives me a skeptical look when I had to return the cold compress to her and push myself off the floor. I have to use the staircase's railing to steady myself, but otherwise I feel fine.
I'm A-okay.
The two of them exchange a worried glance, and Rose assumes a contemplative look. I bite my lower lip in anticipation. If she says no,
You in?
a smile threatens to slip out
If
from
I
me.
see that you aren't feeling well, I'm taking you personally to the nearest clinic to have you checked. Clear?
Clear as day, ma'am. Thanks, Rose.
You insisted. But remember what I said. First sign of you looking not okay, and we're off. No questions asked.
It's just a small bump. Don't worry.
You shouldn't downplay these kinds of things. It could be a serious injury for all we know.
This whole thing's all just her in a coma, dreaming. Suddenly, a small cough sounds against the walls of the foyer, interrupting our banter. Loomis looks expectantly at the two of us, her stare making me shrink back a little on myself. She isn't really intimidating. Well, she is, but not in the scary negative way. Far from it, actually. Her demeanor simply commands an air of sophistication and respect. In a different world, younger me would have probably wished to be like her. At our lack of response, she coughs again, lifting a well-trimmed eyebrow at me in question. Words get caught in my throat at the sight of it, and Rose, as usual, is swift to catch my
My
blunders.
sincerest apologies, Mrs.
Miss McCulloch. Marianne McCulloch.
She hands Rose her business card. The words interior designer catch my eyes before my partner flips it over. Oh, probably someone interested in the mansion for its 17th century influences then. I won't hold it against her, though. Despite the hearsay and remaining uninhabited for years, the mansion's original fittings and furniture have been kept completely intact and restored to pristine condition. I suppose some people find that trip to the past feeling appealing. After all, with what it offers, this place could also be a haven for people looking to live somewhere with a classic historical charm.
Miss McCullough, I'm Rose Cooper, and this is my partner, Isabella Santos. We're just ironing out a few things, but we'll be starting the tour soon enough. In the meantime, we've prepared some refreshments for you in the parlor while you're waiting. If you could please.
Thanks. There's no need for it, though. I just dropped by for a quick survey of the place. I thought I should check the estate before I meet with the homeowners.
Rose's confusion is impossible to miss when she glances at me, and I return it with an equally perplexed look. And against my better judgment, I blurt out the first question that
I'm
comes
sorry.
to mind.
Homeowners?
I should have kept my mouth shut. A flash of irritation crosses her face, but it instantly disappears under a mask of professional detachment.
Yes. Hannah Wright? I was hired by her to handle the interior design for their newly bought home.
This is the Ermengarde mansion, right?
It is, but
She pauses, possibly trying to find the right words to fix the awkward situation without offending someone. Keep having to turn this one back on. Those few moments have given me enough time to clear my head of any nervousness and confusion.
It
clouding
is, ma'am, but we weren't aware the mansion has already been sold.
What do you mean?
I almost flinch when she turns her gaze on me, but I stand my ground. Besides, it isn't like I haven't dealt with awkward situations like this before. I may screw up at times, but that doesn't mean I haven't learned a thing or two in the 5 years I've worked
The
in the
mansion
business.
is indeed for sale, ma'am. Today's the open house, in fact. However, we haven't heard anything from the higher-ups that a deal has already been closed for this particular property. If you'd like, my co-agent and me can check with them right now.
She nods, seemingly in deep thought after I've finished. She appears to be a reasonable person anyway. Given the proper explanation, she'd surely
I
understand.
thought something looked odd when I arrived here. Excuse me, I think I need to make a call to my secretary. Thank you for your assistance, Miss Santos.
With a slight wave of her hand, she leaves us. That seems to be the end of it. Both Rose and I breathe a sigh of relief. Disaster averted. I also didn't miss the thumbs up she gave me for doing a good job, and I can't help but swell with pride. Still, I've already prepared myself to dial the number to our Luxembourg office and check even if she didn't ask for it. I will be very frustrated for some reason. if for some reason something has already been decided without my or Rose's knowledge. Stop doing that backwards. Rose or my knowledge. That's a whole new level of unfair. We've been working hard on this. Moments later, Miss McCullough returns looking... I can't do it right now. Looking a little frustrated, but with an apology clear on her face. I feel a little sorry for having to go through all this trouble.
There seems to have been a little misunderstanding with my client. If you'll allow it, I'd like to stay and wait for them here. I was informed they'll be dropping by for the open house today. I figured it'd be a waste to just leave after that long drive. I might as well meet him here.
Certainly. You could stay at the parlor in the meantime, ma'am. I'm sure it won't be long before our guests arrive. And, Isabella? I left a few documents in my car. You know where I keep those. Can you please get it for me?
Rose takes a glance at her wristwatch before tossing
And
the
hurry!
keys.
We've still got a few minutes to double-check those papers.
Okay, got it.
The two of them disappear behind the parlor's door. Their departure brings with it a stillness to keep me company, neither welcoming nor comforting. Alone like this, it's impossible not to think of what really happened. I wish the memory isn't as elusive as it normally is. Then again, Rose already said she didn't receive any call from me. Was it just paranoia, a temporary lapse after having heard all those tales about this place? Probably. I want to think of it as such. Better to think of it as such, so I can work in peace. Except a small part of my mind begs to differ. And if I'm going to be completely honest with myself, I want nothing more than to leave this place as soon as possible. I don't know what's in this house, and I don't want to know. The keys Rose have just handed me dig into my palm, its jagged edges creating shallow ridges on my skin from how hard I'm clutching it. It's a reminder of what I still need to do and why I've taken this job in the first place. Hugging my blazer close to my body, I exit the house to get what Rose has asked from me. Just a few more hours, Isabella. Sell the house, get the money. Okay. Oh, my ankle. A flock of people... my knee. Everything cracks. A flock of people have gathered in the mansion's front yard by the time we officially open the doors. I'm not sure whether I should feel baffled or underdressed standing in their presence. Men and women of wealth and status, all dressed to the nines in fancy suits and lovely dresses of varying colors, compose the medium-sized crowd. Their necks, arms, and fingers are adorned with silver and gold, glinting in the afternoon sun. Some even have ridiculously fancy feathered hats on their heads. I really hope there aren't any magpies living nearby like in the stories. Those birds will have a field day in this. See, people, it's not crows that steal shiny things. Crows don't like shiny things. Magpies like shiny things. But crows know we like shiny things, so they will sometimes bring us shiny things if they really, really like you. Because they don't want the shiny thing. They hate that shiny thing, but they know you like. Okay. They are murmuring among themselves, looking at, now that we've had this fact about crows and magpies, let's return to our scheduled broadcast. They are murmuring among themselves, looking at the estate's facade appraisingly, with some arguing about whose mansion has the superior architecture. Most of it stops as Rose calls for their attention. They don't look too pleased at being ordered around, but what can they do?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rose Cooper, and this is my partner, Isabella Santos. We'll be taking a tour of the mansion in 2 groups. Please make sure you filled up our sign-in forms before joining a specific group.
Those who want to look around the first floor, please follow my partner. I'll be guiding the ones who wish to see the ground floor.
Hearing this, a few wander to me. They are mostly old ladies who seem daunted at the idea of climbing all those stairs. Miss McClough also joins our group, but what really catches my eye is the elegantly dressed pair she approaches.
It's so nice to finally meet you! When Chief Inspector Lee mentioned that a famous interior designer is in town, I knew I had to get you!
Your confidence in my skills is very flattering, ma'am.
I'm sure you won't disappoint, Marianne.
Oh, you know each other?
Not at all, ma'am.
You mentioned something about a Marianne on our way here, darling?
Oh, yes, I think I did.
Oh, they must be the clients she was talking about. Might have seen their faces somewhere before. some magazine or television? I can't quite remember. But then again, most of our guests have likely ended up in the news one way or another, and I'll be surprised if these two already have. For people who are popular, though, they aren't dressed as loudly as the others, and in their simplicity, the couple stands out. The woman in particular is stunning enough to turn the heads of most of the people in the group, especially the men with wandering eyes. The guy standing beside her doesn't seem to mind, though. And if I'm going to be a bit bolder with my assumptions, I'd say he's basking in the attention. Both of them, in fact. I think they are a brother and sister if it wasn't for their public displays of affection. The matching rings on their fingers just cement the fact that they are indeed a couple. Whatever. Couple or not, what's important is we get this deal closed, before the current owners can even think of canceling the listing. I just hope one of these people in Maya Rose's group is brave and generous enough to buy this mansion. And so with papers in hand, I lead the way. When they aren't whispering among themselves or going ooh and ah over everything or anything, they ask questions. From how the restoration process went to the history of the place, I answer them all. More than happy to talk about the art pieces and architecture mostly. However, I'm careful not to mention anything about the urban legend. Not a good material for sales talk, even if the entire population of Luxborn knows
Some
about
of
it.
the furnishings here are actually the 17th century originals, all of which have undergone a painstaking restoration process just to return its original beauty. Even the glass thing, colorful ones. Oh, I don't know, but you get the idea, I hope. Especially that one, ma'am. It is said to be a gift commissioned by the fiancé of Lady Charlotte Ermengarde.
So, I know she's wearing a dress in it, up in the glass, but it kind of looks like she's standing slightly turned, legs like in a stance, really muscular legs of that, and like she's showing your butt and turning around going, just something I'm noticing. So, tell me if I'm not the only one.
The mansion's current owners have specifically requested that the restoration crew take great care in handling it. It's a priceless work of art and the most distinctive feature of the mansion.
By the time I've stopped talking, her attention is already elsewhere.
Isn't this place wonderful, darling? I told you it's not a total waste of your time.
I don't know. Isn't it a bit too small? We might have to break a wall down to have more room.
Well, I think it is just right. Don't you think so, Marianne?
It is splendid, ma'am. But isn't it a little too early to make plans when no deal has been signed yet?
Never mind that. It isn't going to be a problem. We've got a wonderful legal team to handle everything. Start taking notes, though. I think I've got a few things I want changed before we move in.
The rest of their conversation gets lost in the chatter of our companions. I don't want to make any assumptions yet, but their sheer interest is enough to give me some semblance of hope. Oh, please, 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 let these guys be the one. Eventually, our group reaches the kitchen. Oh, that's cute. Knife. Much like the rest of the house, a great deal of effort has been put into retaining the room's classical appeal. The open hearth at the end of the room, in particular, looks amazing, like the ones I've only seen in fairy tale books. And mad props to the cleaning crew. Seriously, after overhearing the hundreds of their complaints about the soot and tar staining the bricks, and how much of a pain in the arse cleaning this will be, they managed to pull this off. Or make it look presentable.
The highlight of the room, however, is what's underneath this hatch here.
Oh, don't say anything yet. An underground wine cellar.
This is the first time the guy in gray speaks up. Mr. Luke Wright, my memory supplies from the forms they signed earlier. His sudden attentiveness catches me off guard. Since the start of the tour, only his wife has shown any form of genuine interest in the place. But this time something lights up in his eyes at the mention of the Undercroft. Excuse me. What's so interesting about a basement? I really don't understand rich people sometimes. Murder! It's where they hide the bodies! Right now, he just gives me the impression of a child who has seen what he absolutely wants for Christmas. I've always found it cute whenever I see children act that way, my younger siblings especially. On a grown man, it's almost funny.
Yes, sir. It could house around 7,000 to 11,000 bottles of wine.
Truly. And the room, how was it built?
The bricks that were used to build the cellar had been carefully picked for the purpose of maintaining and preserving a constant temperature and humidity in the room. It's a good place to keep your private collection in if you have one, sir.
It keeps the corks in good condition.
Oh, love. Didn't you say before that you wanted to make your own personal vineyard? Perhaps you could start one here.
You know we're going to need space for that, darling.
And this isn't big enough?
If it's space you're worried about, sir, the Ermengarde mansion sits on a 46-acre lot. There's plenty of room for it. We were told that the original owners had a horse stable built here before, too.
There's a contemplative expression on Mr. Wright's face, but he doesn't say anything further. His wife, however, seems really pleased that he has started to show interest, if only a little. I smile to myself. I may not completely understand how these people's minds work, but I sure as hell know how to sport a buyer with sincere interest. Or spot a buyer, I don't know what it's a score. I can't wait to tell Rose. The rest of the tour goes by without a hitch. After more than half an hour, we're able to cover almost every room on the ground floor and are heading to the parlor. Funny, the first time BRC had us survey the property, I kept complaining to Rose how big it is. Now I can't even bring myself to care, no matter how much my feet hurt. Maybe this is just my excitement over a possible sale? When we reach the parlor, however, an odd feeling washes over me. It starts off as a small goosebumps on my skin, a feeling of being watched intently. Whispers in my ear, and shadows dancing, lurking in the corner of my vision. Dark silhouettes that are gone when I turn to look. A chill settles down my spine, making me feel sick, and I start to break out in a cold sweat. I can't do this. I need to sit down for a moment. The old ladies in the group have been requesting for a break anyway.
Excuse me, everyone? We will be taking a 15-minute rest here before we visit the first floor. In the meantime, please help yourselves to the refreshments and snacks we prepared. If anyone has any questions, feel free to approach me. I'd be happy to help you.
I let them sit while I retreat to a quiet corner to recover. It's not what you think. Don't think about it. It's not what you think. I probably just caught Becca's cold. Don't think about it. I'm left alone for a good while, the same words spilling out of my lips in a silent prayer, until a hand taps my shoulder.
Hello, you there?
Yes, ma'am?
Oh, look at you. Having to show a group around a mansion this big must be exhausting.
Not a problem, ma'am. I'm just doing my job.
What a hard worker. Anyway, Isabel, right?
Isabella, actually. But yes, what can I help you with, ma'am, right?
Please, just Hana. Call me Hana. I just wanted to ask, how soon are we able to move in?
My brain completely stops. The sick feeling plaguing me is suddenly gone, replaced by utter bewilderment. Is this a joke? She looks at me expectantly as I struggle to come up with an answer.
Ma'am, you see, but we haven't even negotiated a price yet, ma'am. We haven't even finished touring the rest of the mansion. A sale would be great and all, but...
She stops me from speaking any further and puts a hand on my shoulder. For a moment, with her tight smile, she looks as if she has tasted a particularly sour lemon.
Please, sweetie, don't insult me. Money is not a problem. And, just between you and me, this place is better off with us than with some old lady who'll probably just fill it up with cats.
I personally don't think there's anything wrong with having cats here, ma'am Hana. I'm sure there's more than enough space here if you want pets.
Perhaps I'm just not feeling well, but really, what's wrong with cats? More importantly, why is she talking about moving in
Well,
already?
I'm more of a dog person. But you see, this is going to be a gift to my darling. It's going to be our anniversary soon. And it would be so wonderful if you can secure its purchase for us. Why, I can even offer something extra if you help us out with the paperwork.
We actually have a process for this, ma'am. I don't really think that would be necessary or appropriate.
And just what are you two lovely ladies talking about here? Leaving me and our lovely interior designer to talk here by ourselves. What would the people think, darling?
Oh, it's just small talk, love. I was asking if she could help me with the paperwork.
I try not to wince with her when her nails dig into my shoulder. I can't help but send an imploring look at Miss McClough, who only gives me an apologetic smile and shrug. There's something else popping up on my screen. Get off.
Yeah, I can give you a fact sheet and a form to fill out.
She wastes no time in taking the papers from my hand and shuffles through the bunch. Oh man, Rose is going to be so angry at me for letting her do that.
Wonderful. And Marianne, I'd really love to talk to you about those changes. You took some notes earlier, yes?
I did, Mom. But I really hope that this time...
Excellent. Hopefully you can help us out too, Isabel.
Isabella.
Right. It's a lovely name, Isabel.
It's Isabella.
Yes, that's great. We'll be more than happy to put in a good word to your superiors too, and... What's this?
A look of confusion and disgust appears on her face, turning to her husband. He merely shrugs in reply.
That's, an interesting work of art. Not to my taste, though. I'm sorry.
Darling, Buttercup, Art is a complete overstatement for this garbage. It looks like a cheap prop from a D-list horror film.
Shush, love. Let the girl do what she pleases with, what do they call this? Oh, forget about it. At the very least, it's not as dreadful as the one art exhibit I was forced to attend last month. You should have seen it, Marianne. Even you would have been appalled. But I'm sure you'll know what to do with our walls once we get started.
I highly doubt it is as bad as you say, ma'am. Nevertheless, you can be assured that my team will only pick whatever suits your tastes. Nothing of this chain letter sort, of course. It has to always work with a palette.
I'm quite sure chain letters these days don't come in this form.
It's my turn to be puzzled. What do they mean? Rose and I double-checked everything. Are the papers I handed out not enough? I want to ask what I did wrong. I don't want to mess this up. And with the way Ma'am Hannah's leading conversation, I'm afraid that it's exactly what will happen
That's
if I do
good
it.
to hear. See, darling, isn't she an absolute delight to work with? I can't wait to see how this place will look when she's done with it.
You'll be dead! Coated in your blood.
Oh, you don't have to tell me that, Buttercup.
A smile is back on her face when she turns to me and hands me a strange piece
I
of
would
paper.
still put it away if I were you, though. Otherwise, people might get the wrong impression. Anyway, as I was saying...
I don't hear the rest of what she's saying after that. I can only stare at the paper, at the letter in my hands. The side crinkle in my grip and my breath grows labored. Dread quickly fills my mind.
Isabella? Are you all right?